And we're live.
To the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing the sleighing song tonight! Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Woo! Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hello.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people around the world, Ashley Bishop is in the house with a singing dog.
Good. I know, right? How cool is that?
That's fantastic. I just thought the people that might be watching this in August will be thinking, what the hell's going on here?
I know what. Hang on, what's happening here? I even put on my nice Christmas jumper for you.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. And I'm sorry that mine's in the wash. It's getting ready for tomorrow because tomorrow is Christmas Eve. We're around with the family and friends, so I've got to wear it tomorrow.
I have my pristine Christmas T-shirt ready for Christmas. It's fantastic. I can't remember what shop we were in, but we were in a supermarket, and I sort of walked up to it. I was looking in the mirror because it was literally got a Christmas hat on. It was gorilla, and underneath said "Bar Humbug." Brilliant. I had to buy it. So that's my Christmas attire sorted out.
Fantastic. You've got to go with it with those, haven't you, for Christmas?
That's it. Exactly.
Superb. Okay, right. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen my interviews before when I'm interviewing people. I love having a chat with people and talking, but I know there's people watching and they want value. They want the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty, the stuff they can take away with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly ask Ash who he is, what he does, and then we're going to go into the value for you guys. Okay, so if you don't know who Ashley Bishop is, he's about to tell you right now who he is and what he's up to in the world. So Ash, over to you, mate. Who are you? What are you doing?
Thank you. Hello, I am Ashley Bishop, and I'm the creator of Awaken, the Hero Dad. It's a new-ish concept for me. I am a personal trainer by trade, and I've been doing that for sort of over a decade. And now I've invested a lot of time in courses focusing on sort of neuroscience, which is, for some people, probably find that would find it really, really boring. It floats my boat quite nicely, and actually the principles behind it really help people to get over the obstacles, to start getting rid of the things that have been holding them back, so they can actually start moving forwards and living the life that they want to lead. Being a dad myself, and actually being in the trenches and experiencing the issues, the frustrations and everything like that go with it, have sort of led me to now sort of really focus on dads, because being a dad, I can understand. I've been there, I've done it, I've bought the T-shirt, the good, the bad and the ugly, which I'm sure we're going to discuss further.
Definitely, yeah, we're going to jump into that, but like a good soap opera, we're going to keep people hanging till we get into the really cool stuff. I'm interested with that neuroscience bit, because I've been studying a little bit about the brain recently, and for me, it seems as though people are creating a lot of stories in their head that aren't serving them. Do you find that that's what's going on? Is that anything about what you're doing, or not at all?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to look at the brain. I tend to explain the brain and how it works with a very, very basic understanding, because clarity is king. Having clarity around something. When you have that clarity, it allows you to take action. I use a strapline: think, clarify, act, which we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail. But think, clarify, and act. So it's all about gaining clarity around something, and you can only get that clarity when you start thinking about it. So looking at the brain as a whole, we can actually split the brain into three separate parts. And I use a traffic light system to explain this. You've got red, amber, and then green. So green is like, as I'd call it, the human brain, our thinking brain, where we tend to either be very logical, and us chaps tend to be we're logical thinkers typically. We think logically, where the other half of that sort of the human brain is then the creative part, which us chaps use every now and then, but is a bit more of ladies tend to be more creative than us chaps, put it that way. So that's like the green part. That's the great part that allows us to think, it allows us to do, it allows us to work out what we're going to do, that step by step journey that we need to go on. That's sort of like, we're very good at creating that route map. We then have the other two. We have the orange part, the amber part, which is then more of your subconscious brain. Now that's this is all to do with our relationships. So again, a bit like the pack sort of way of looking at it, or the tribal thing. You know, we always want to be part of a certain pack or a certain tribe. You know, when we were younger, we might have been at school or at college. You know, you all tend to have similar sort of haircuts. You used to wear similar sort of clothes. It's that sort of thing. So that part of the brain is very, very interested in keeping those social connections, but it does it on this sort of subconscious level. And then we have the last part, the red part. Now, this part of the brain is purely interested in your survival. It cares for nothing else but keeping you alive. And this is where we look at that flight, fight, or freeze, the 3 Fs. That's all the body is interested in. Oh, sorry, all that part of the brain is interested in is keeping you alive. So yeah, so that's really the basis where it starts from. And we plant these things in. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, I believe, as we go along, as we start giving some of this content out. But yeah, the stories that we tell ourselves are things that hold us back. We create these obstacles because it's sort of, the brain is 2 against 1. So sort of that human brain, the green part of the brain is the 1, and the other 2 parts, the orange or the amber and the red, are the other part. And they like staying where they are. They don't like change. They love being, this is what we know. We know what's going to happen every day. Even if you don't like it, we know what's going to happen every day. And they want to keep you where you are right now, even if you're struggling, because they know the struggle. And that's where we embed these stories, anything. They will use any trick in the book to make you stay where you are, which could be, you know, building obstacles. It could be telling yourself a story that you can't have this, you don't deserve this, you know, you're not good enough, because they want to keep you where they are. So that's where the whole, you know, the stories you tell yourself come into play.
So some people might label that bit then as self-sabotage when they say, oh, I know what to do, but I just can't seem to do it. Yeah. That's kind of where that comes from, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the whole self-sabotage, because we're never directly trying to kill ourselves here. What tends to happen, it's just the clarity. When we don't have that clarity, that understanding of something, you just won't take action. I always use an example of the first ever person that went base jumping. For those people that don't know what base jumping is where you have a parachute to your back and you jump off a tall building and hope you're going to land somewhere. So let's use, we'll use this as a great example. So no one's ever done base jumping before. Some guy has this mad idea of, I'm going to jump off a building with a parachute. Now, the first time he ever does that will not be the first time he's ever been on the roof. Because as soon as he says, oh, I'm going to jump off this building, you know, it's 20 stories high, I'm going to jump off it. This part, that red and orange part of the brain says, I don't think so, that's not going to happen, because we don't know the outcome. We have no clarity around what's going to happen. So we're going to do everything we can to stop you. So we're going to chuck fear at you that you might die. We're going to throw so much at you to stop you from doing it. You know, we're going to start telling these stories of, well, you won't survive if you jump off this building. So what I said he, now I don't know whether it's a guy or a girl that first did base jumping, but whoever it was had to create clarity around what they were going to do. So for example, they probably went to the top of the roof for the first time ever and just peered over the edge and looked down, and then stepped back and went away. And then they might go again the next day and they'll peer down, and then they'll start noticing, oh, well, there's a building over there and there's a building over there. And then they're starting to build this clear picture. And they'll keep doing that. You know, they might go back another day and think, well, actually, there's a road over there, there's a field over there I can land in. Then they can go back another time and then think, right, okay, where are the dangers? Well, there's you know, railings over there, which if I land on that, I'll impale myself. There's over there, well, I definitely don't want to land on that. You know, so they're building this clear picture. They're thinking and they're gaining clarity around what they're going to do. And then when they've got this clarity, they've got this full understanding, they pretty much know that when they jump off of here, they can guide themselves to land over there, because they know where that landing point is. they'll then go and do it, because they understand, they've got the clarity, they've got the understanding of what's going to happen. So they've created an understanding. So they've thought about it, they've gained clarity, and they've taken action.
Fantastic. What a great analogy. And like yourself, coming from a PT background, we'd have experienced that with clients who eventually come to us. And what I mean by eventually come to us is the first time they come to us isn't the first time they've thought about getting a PT or maybe even going to the gym. Like you said, they've played the stories over in their head of what might happen if I start something and if I fail, etc., etc. So yeah, great analogy. And I think a lot of guys watching this will probably be able to relate to that in some form of, in some form, because they'll be thinking of taking some kind of action. Yeah. But they'll be, like you said, taking a step close to the edge, looking around, and then maybe stepping back and doing that. So that's what you're doing at the moment, is it? This is how you're helping guys and what you're doing with them.
I tend to use a different analogy. We'll run through this one because I love layering it up, because the more layers we give something, the more understanding someone gets. So another way of putting this is, imagine you're going to go on your dream holiday, and that's the destination, is your dream holiday. You know, it's whatever you want, but you've got to drive there. That you have to drive there to get there, right? Yeah. So you pack your bags. You know, you've packed the kitchen sink. You've got the kids in the back already shouting, "Oh, we're nearly there yet! Oh, we're nearly there yet!" You've got your wife. You know, you've remembered her, hopefully. You know, you're all packed up, ready to go, but you don't have a sat nav, and you don't have a map, and you don't have directions how to get there. The chances are you're not going to get there. It's going to be a struggle. There's going to be lots of arguments. There's going to be lots of frustration, lots of anger. And you might have a go. You might say, "Oh, let's set off that one, hope we get there." But the chances are you're not going to get there. And this is exactly how the brain works. So you might know the destination, and we can use this from a PT point of view. Some might say, "I want to lose 2 stone." And that's their that's their goal. But if they haven't got a laid out path of how to get there, the chances are they're not going to get there, because, you know, the fear, the anguish, the frustration will all kick in, you know, and they'll try this or they'll try that and they'll try this and they'll try that, but they're all the wrong way.
Great, really good analogy. And it used to be like a massive frustration of mine when people would try and get into shape on their own. A big frustration, because people get their car fixed by a mechanic if they're not a mechanic. They'll get their boiler fixed by a plumber, or roof fixed by a roofer if they're not any of those things. However, a lot of people try and do themselves on their own instead of going to a professional. And people will throw their excuses in, don't have time, money, etc., etc. That's another conversation for another day.
We could go on about that one.
Yeah, that's another thing for another day. But it's almost illogical the way people would do the other things but not do it for themselves. But for me, I've stopped getting frustrated by it now, because I think people just aren't in the right place or ready for it, or they just don't understand, which is hopefully why we're doing this and helping people understand, one, the importance of us coaches, which is the main thing really, is the importance of having a coach to, like you said, give you the map, I suppose. So why Awaken the Hero Dad? Because that's your thing, right? Why Awaken the Hero Dad? Because as a PT, I know you'd have had a lot of females maybe apply for your services, because that's the big market, right? Females want to lose weight. Huge. So why not that market? Why Awaken the Hero Dad?
I think, you know, I said I've been a PT for over a decade, and, you know, I first started out with, you know, I'll train anyone with a pulse and a purse. You know, that was it. I'd say, you know, if you want to be bodybuilder, let's bodybuild. If you want to burn fat, let's burn fat. If you want to train for a triathlon, let's train for triathlon. And then I started niching a little bit more around, you know, fat loss and promoting health and well-being. I tried working with women only. I had a go at that, and I didn't enjoy it. You know, there wasn't that connection. You know, we didn't connect properly. And although you know, I'm the type of guy that will always I will give it, whatever project I'm doing, I'll give it everything, because that's just how I was brought up and that's how I am. But I just didn't get the enjoyment out of it. And then, you know, we'll talk about my background a little bit more soon, you know, a little bit more detail, which sort of gives some stuff away. But I then realised, well, actually, I quite like working with guys. You know, we have man talk. You know, we can have a laugh and a joke. We can be a bit rude and crude, at times if we have to. You know, the toilet humor is a great one. I like, you know, in the private Facebook group that we're on for dads, you know, there's sometimes a lot of toilet humor, and it just goes down brilliantly. You know, we all have life jokes, we all get it, you know, and that's the thing. So that's why I thought, well, actually, you know, men, and being now a father, I understand, you know, being a dad, I get that it's now slightly different, you know, working with men who've got families to working with single guys. There is a difference between how they operate. And actually now moving more into coaching, where it's more about looking at the overall picture rather than just exercise, which I think you'll agree, just exercise is a really small part of living a healthy lifestyle. I thought, well, actually, you know, I can tailor what I do more to men who've got kids. The whole Awaken the Hero Dad, well, look, when you speak to loads of dads that I have done, they all want to be a role model for their kids. You know, that's what it really boils down to. They want to be the best role model possible. They want to be the go-to man, you know, for guidance, support, for influence. So in essence, you know, role models tend to be our heroes, right? Yeah. So that, well, you know, the hero dad. I use Awaken the Hero Dad because, again, in speaking to lots of dads, you know, they say, well, I just want to, it's like I want to wake myself up. It's like I've sort of just been plodding along and I want to wake up. So sort of Awaken the Hero Dad sort of, I thought, oh, really, it's got a nice ring, it's got a nice catch to it. I thought, yeah. And again, it says what it is on the tin. You know, I went through lots of different names. I thought, oh, that's quite good, but I'd have to explain to someone what it means. Where with Awaken the Hero Dad, it's like, yeah, I get it, I understand. So yeah, that's what it's about, and that's how the whole, as we're going to dive into this, it's sort of Awaken the Hero Dad is just the first part that we focus on, and like I say, I think we'll expand on that shortly.
Yeah, definitely, we will completely expand on that shortly, because I'm sure people will want to know a bit more about Awaken the Hero Dad. I love the name, I really do. It's almost like when I used to play golf when I was younger, there was this golf course, and there was these mounds that were down on this one hole, and it looked like there was like a sleeping giant underneath the fairway. and like when we were kids, like, oh, if you hit it in the right place, the giant will wake up and stuff. And this is almost like Awaken the Hero Dad. It has those connotations to me, like the dads have got this hero inside of them.
Oh, that's it.
Waking up, right?
Yeah, we are, and this is what says we are already hero dads. We are a hero dad. It's just that person is being suppressed. And I say we'll talk about that a little bit more, because again, although I specify with dads, the concept can be applied to anyone.
Okay, I'm going to actually, if you were okay for this, let's jump into that right now, because that sounds like really interesting.
All right, let's crack. So from the neuroscience courses that I've done, and for me delving into it personally, I think it might be best if I just spend a couple of minutes sort of explaining my backstory a little bit as well. So again, I set up my personal training business a decade ago, and I think the aim, as most men, I always wanted to get married. I wanted to, whoever my wife were to be, you know, I wanted them to have the wedding that they wanted. I always wanted to be a dad and have kids. I always wanted to be a homeowner. I'm a petrol head, so I always want to have a couple of nice cars. So being a gym instructor, leaving college and becoming a gym instructor, earning like £7 an hour, you know, well, that's not going to cut the mustard. I'm not going to have all this on £7 an hour. So qualified as a PT and thought, right, this is my avenue. I can make good money from this. And it was great. And again, as any entrepreneur does, any business does, they throw themselves into it. And I did. And it was great. And it picked up really quickly, opened up my own facility, and got to a point where I was doing, you know, 50 PT sessions a week, which that's 50 hours of work before you've done the back work to it as well. And as a PT, you'll know that there's a lot of background work. It's not just the face-to-face stuff, it's everything that goes with it. So I was just getting worn out. I was getting tired. I then stopped eating properly myself. I stopped exercising because I didn't have time. So then I was sort of, you know, lying to my clients, oh yeah, I exercise 3 times a week and I eat really healthily, you know, and then I'm working with them, dragging my ass home, you know, oh, can I just order a pizza? Met my now wife. We then got engaged and saved up for the wedding. And what happens is the pressure piles on. You know, when you're living at home, although I appreciate some people's upbringing was a struggle, you know, financially you're normally provided for. There is no pressure like that. You know, you've got a roof above your head, you get fed, you know, someone probably cleans your room for a bit. But then as we grow up and we want more things, the pressure mounts. You know, you want a house, you want a car, you want a mobile phone, you want to get married. You know, it's all pressure pushing down on you, you know, pushing you and pushing you further into the ground. And that pressure just gets too much after a while. And that's what happened to me. The pressure just got so much that I stepped into, as I call it, I stepped into this suit of armor, which this suit of armor is basically a stereotype. So we all look at these, say, oh, you know, the stereotype dad, the stereotype man, you know, the powerful man, you know, the strong man, you know, you can brand it whatever you like, you know, the real man. And I started living up to this stereotype because it was easy, because you just did what people expected you to do. And then you just constantly lying. You're not really being you, the real you, although you're stepping into this and you're thinking it's easier. Actually, it's imprisoning you. And it's suppressing who you really are. And it keeps going. And the real you just gets more and more suppressed the longer this goes on. And that was what was happening to me. So I was working really hard, you know, I've got all this pressure. I'm showing the world this bulletproof man, you know, this strong man, this provider man. But really inside, I'm just falling to bits. But I can't show that to anyone. And it just kept going on, and we got, you know, yes, we got married, we had a great wedding, and then, you know, we bought a house, we then had Thomas, and then it's like, you just can't take it anymore. Yeah, and it gets so difficult, and then you pile on the pounds, you know, you get them when you get the dad bod quite quickly and easily. You know, you've got no energy to run around after your kids. You know, you walk up a flight of stairs and you're out of breath. You know, again, food quality is out the window. You're just gorging on anything you get your hands on. You start, for different people do different things. You know, you might start drinking, you might turn to drugs, you might turn to porn, you might turn to women, gambling, whatever, you know, anything to try and get that little mini high hit, you know, that little dopamine hit of excitement. And that's when I sort of said, you know, I'm driving business into the ground because I'm really struggling with it. You know, so financially I was starting to feel the pressure for covering 2 car payments, the mortgage, this, that, and the other. And it was like, I can't go on, you know, this just can't go on. And as I say to people, you know, when you get to a point where enough is enough, you can't keep going on like this, that's when you're ready to start making a change. So for me, it was then investing in myself, getting a coach for me, investing in some courses, getting a lot of learning going on, which is not something that is, I'm not someone who likes to sit down my head in a book. You know, I have to apply I'm more of a doer. So to sit down my head in a book or watch, now that we have video lessons and stuff like that, I find that quite tough. And then suddenly started realizing that actually, you're right, someone might not be at the point to start changing their diet or start exercising, and the one size fits all model doesn't work. So then I started sort of learning, and I started doing these things, which led me to realize that there are 4 sort of core areas that you have to focus on, being yourself, your body, your family, and your balance. And this is where people go wrong. And this is, I think, this might be one of the biggest takeaways that anyone watching this will get, is when you have had enough, when you've got to say, you know, this can't go on, I've got to change, whether it's because your relationships suck, you know, you'll become really distant with your wife, your partner, your kids, whether it's your health really sucks and you're getting some health related issues, disease, whatever, you know, if your business, you're struggling with your business or your job, you know, anything, as soon as you start struggling, you know, when you get to the point where you say enough is enough, you have to start at the right place. And this is where most people go wrong. Most people then go straight into changing their diet, you know, going on an extreme diet, going nuts with the exercise, you know, just throwing themselves into their business even more, you know, think, oh, if I just work really hard now, if I really go for it for the next month, I can then turn it around. Or, you know, they try and do whatever, they go to marriage counselling or whatever. And the problem is they're not starting at the beginning. You know, it's that age-old thing of it's, or you're trying to run before you walk. You have to start with yourself. and you have to do the work on yourself first. So as I call them, the four core connections, the first connection, the most important connection, is yourself. Now that doesn't mean that's not talking about diet and exercise. This is actually talking about the internal stuff, your mindset, your headspace. This is where it all begins. And for me, how I then start putting it is, you've got to, when you're imprisoned by this stereotype, that's on one side. So I'm trying to get my hands in the camera. I'm sort of going out here on this side. At one side, you've got this stereotype, and the other side, you've got you that's being suppressed. And the problem is, you're then caught in the middle. You know, this is the real you, and this is then this stereotype, this fake you, this persona that you're showing the world. And while you've got these two, it's like you're going to war every day, you know, and this is when you're very angry, you're stressed, all the negative stuff, you know, and you can put in there whatever you like, you know, whether it's anger, whether it's depression, whatever, you know, but you're always at war and you're never happy. There's always that head battle going on. And one of the first things you have to do is you have to get to a point where you can give up that stereotype and you can just be you. And that's the first place to start. And there are different ways of doing it. And again, I've just created my own way of doing it, but it's where you reclaim you. Now, I use the expression a lot, the truth will set you free, which some people go, oh, that's a bit airy fairy, woo. And yeah, right, you might say it is, that's fine, but it's about being you. And that can be a bit uncomfortable, which is why I always warn people, you know, the journey that you're going to take is going to be a bumpy one. There are going to be highs, there are going to be lows, there's going to be twists, and there are going to be turns. But if it were easy, there wouldn't be anyone with any problems. Mm. So I work on the principle that, you know, the first thing we start doing, yes, we do some goal setting because it's important to know where you want to get to. But we will do what I call 5 whys deep. So it's a bit like peeling an onion there. So this is what you want. I call it, again, I name the module, or what I call a mission. The first mission is 2 questions, what and why. What do you want? Why do you want it? What do you want? Why do you want it? And we spend a long time, what do you want? Why do you want it? What do you want? Why do you want it? Why does it matter? Because of course, and using a fitness example, some say I want to lose 2 stone. Well, why do you want to lose 2 stone? Because I do. Well, that's a crap answer. You know, why do you want it? So you have to go 5 whys deep till you get to the real root cause of why someone wants that. And for most people, if you don't get to a point where you're getting quite emotional, what you want, why you want it, has to evoke emotion. Now, I've had dads cry with me before, because we've got to a point and I've asked that question and it's brought up that emotion. But that's great, because the truth will set you free. Yeah. When you're honest, it will set you free. And it's amazing, just by answering. And again, this is another huge takeaway here. When you do goal setting the right way, that is a massive step, and you'll just feel this weight lift straight away when you do it properly. So whatever you want, you've got to go 5 whys deep, at least 5. Some people might go more. You know, I've had people go to 7 and 8 because they're a bit, oh, I don't want to talk about this stuff. So you have to sort of peel the layers away, which is why I use the onion as an example here, because the more you peel an onion, the more you cry. I know I do.
I like it. I like that. That's good.
The more you peel the onion, the more you cry. And it's basically exactly the same thing. You know, you've got to get to that point. So you've got to be raw, you've got to be real, it's got to evoke emotion. And I say, and that, just by doing that one thing, it just takes that pressure off straight away. And it's amazing how many guys, how many dads, when you just do that one step, that's a massive shift for them. And sometimes that's all they need to start, you know, that gets that mental block out of the way. So that's sort of like the first step. And then we move on to what I call identify your identity, which is a bit of a mouthful. You know, try having a couple of drinks and saying that. But again, this is just, when you say to someone, well, who are you? What makes you you? It's so difficult to answer, right? It's so difficult. I'm not going to put you on the spot, don't worry. But if you said to someone, well, who are you? What's your identity? It's so difficult to answer. So, and this is where, again, this is the clarity. So it all ties into one another. This think, clarify, and act. So we then start thinking, and I've got, again, this is another mission which is laid out for people. And this is then just identifying who they are. So we tend to get to sort of three values, three identities, which they have a background of. There's then words, you know, they have a meaning behind everything. So for example, I have mine down here. It's not hanging up at the moment, but I actually had this made up. It's here. I said the wrong size. I said A1, but I meant A3, and sort of this turned out. I was like, wow, it's massive.
It's fun. I love it. It's brilliant.
It's great. It's I mean, mine are, you know, I've got choose happiness, always tell your truth, and live your passion. So mine are happiness, truth, and passion. Now, for a lot of people, that's just 3 words. You know, that's just 3 random words, and a lot of people say, what does that mean? But when you identify your identity, I have an amazing understanding and clarity around what each one means.
And then I guess, sorry to just interrupt and interject there. I guess you could. I guess then it's just a case of just showing up as you, right?
Yeah. It takes time. You know, it's not like you write these down and within, you know, 10 minutes you've got this. Wow, this is who I am. Happiness, truth, and passion. Well, woo! You know, it doesn't quite work like that. Again, and this is why I find how the brain works very interesting, because it typically takes 30 days to create a new habit or a new way of thinking, of putting the effort in. So just by doing that and saying, right, these are my 3 words, and then never thinking about them again, doesn't change anything. It's, you have to keep thinking about them. So that's why I had that made up. So every time I walk into my office, I'll see those words. And then by seeing them every day, suddenly after 30 days of regularly thinking about them, what they mean, that's just how I show up to the world every day. So instead of showing up as this stereotype, well, this is who I am. It goes a little bit deeper than that, but I don't want to take people too deep now. I just want to give them a bit of an understanding, really.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and there's some tremendous value in there, some tremendous points, and I'm glad this is recorded because I'm going to go back over the stuff and nab some notes myself.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating stuff, but it's also powerful as well, because I mean, I've done a bit of work with this myself anyway, but so I know how powerful it is when you define who you are.
Yeah.
You know your 5 whys deep.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes it can be scary for people to do, but you need, like you said, you need to do it because emotion will elicit action. Without that emotion, you'll, like you said, you'll stay stuck and you won't move forward. Yeah. But bring the emotion, yeah.
Well, you know, and some people that might take them to a dark place. Yeah, I mean, I was in a very dark place, very, very dark place. You know, I was suffering with depression. I was in this dark place, so I know how it feels. And although we all, those people that have suffered with depression, will all have different thoughts about it and would have had different experiences with it. But I always say, well, it's just a really dark, dingy, horrible place. And to get out of that, you have to think about it. And when you get clarity, you'll take action. So this is just a clarifying step. That's all this is. This is just really gaining a load of clarity. The other main step we then look at is what I call your code of conduct. This is how you want, these are sort of internal. These are your identity is quite personal to you. It's how you want to be. So you want, you know, for me, I want to be happy. I want to tell the truth that I believe in, and I want to be passionate. They're quite internal things. The external stuff is in like your code of conduct, which is, this is how you want to come across to the world. So this is how you want to be. Like some people say a badge of honor. Yeah. You know. So again, there's a similar mission that we go through, which then works on that as well. So, for example, you know, strength, courage, things like that. So it's more things that people can visually see. But again, it's just that clarifying step, so that you know this is who I am, this is how I want to come across to the world. So you don't have to live in that stereotype, because that stereotype is just a prison. Although it feels safe and it feels easy, it's a prison, and it's squashing you, and it's just going to make you feel worse. So the only way to get out of that prison is to think, clarify, and act.
I'm going to jump in there because I'm glad you said that, because my next question was almost going to be, I imagine guys out there listening to this and thinking, oh my God, this sounds like a load of work. But by what you've just said there is, if somebody came to me and said, oh, this just sounds like a load of work and it sounds like hard work, my answer would just be to them is, how is it living how you're living right now? Because obviously people are watching this for a reason. People are struggling with something, whether it's their health, their wealth, their relationships, like we said, whether they're being, their balance, they're struggling with something. So my point to anybody would be, I think you kind of said it a bit more intellectually than I would, is how's life treating you now compared to just doing a little bit of work on yourself? Because
this is where, having your, the goals, the outcomes that you desire, and going 5 whys deep. When you really understand it, that's the driving force for you to just take the next step, because everything is, again, all about taking the next step. And I mean, this identify your identity and your code of conduct with the guys that I work with, that's a 4-week process. It's not right, so in the next hour the clock's ticking, get it done. It's, we have a 4-week period to do that in, and that's all we think about for 4, well, not, and people still have to work, but from my point of view, when I'm coaching with them for 4 weeks, that's all I'm interested in. And for some people it might take a little bit longer, and that's fine. Some people might get it done quicker, because we're all individuals, we're all unique. There's no one size fits all, which is why everything I do is a framework. I don't say, right, do this. It's a case of, right, here's a little task for you, here's a mission for you to do. I've set the steps up. So again, both of these have got like a 7-step process. And at no point do I say, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. It's like, this is what I'd like to do now. Go away and create your own answer, and then we'll move on to the next step. So again, it's all broken down into bite-sized chunks, because for most people it needs to be bite-sized. Because as you say, if you give someone this massive task, it's like, well, how am I going to get that done? It's a bit like another analogy for you. It's a bit like, some people can run up the mountain to the top, other people have to go up the side paths. One is quicker than the other, but they'll both get there. It's just which route works best for you. So some dads that I've worked with go through this process quite quickly, like, yep, done. And other dads are going on that sort of longer route up the mountain, but they'll still get there.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
It can sound daunting, but when you just break it down into these small chunks, half an hour here, half an hour there, 15 minutes here, an hour there, when you just add those up over 4 weeks, you can get there. And then it's just about implementing it afterwards. The hard work is creating it, and when you've got it, it's just then being mindful about it, thinking about, giving it attention every day. Right, why is this important? And I say, when you've got it written down, the guys that I work with have all got notebooks that they can make notes in. They've got a workbook that they work through and a notebook, so they can work through it. So they've got, it's all written down in their own handwriting. I really dislike people typing stuff up on the computer for this. It's got to be handwritten, because actually, again, the brain works more effectively when you handwrite something. And I've got crap handwriting. I should have been a doctor. With my handwriting, it's terrible. Some days I can't understand it. So if I can write it down, for someone that doesn't like doing coursework, anyone can do it.
Fantastic. And yeah, it's another great point. I saw something the other day, and I don't want to get too cliche and motivational posty and stuff, but I saw something the other day, and it was just like, yeah, that makes a really good point. And it was simply this. The statement was this: don't let the time it takes stop you from starting your journey, because the time will pass anyway. Yeah. So I think, yeah, just backs up your point there. People, if you, like you said, just take one step at a time, move forwards, you're going to get there eventually. If you don't take any steps, you're never going to get there. Ever. So, okay, cool. Brilliant. Right. I could talk to you about this for ages.
We could go on all evening, couldn't we?
yeah, your story, I resonate with your story in terms of going into a dark place and being overwhelmed and doing everything externally and forgetting about yourself, and then having to just go, stop, I'm going to go and work on me. And I shut off from social media. It was about 7 or 8 weeks, shut off from social media. I only had contact with my clients and my family, but I spent a lot of time on myself. So yeah, it's really important that people do that. And on that note, what I'm going to do is, you've delivered more value than I actually thought that was going to come out of this first part of this conversation. So it's going really, really well. But what I'm going to get you to do, if you can.
Oh, hang on. You've got a bit crackly. Hang on. I've lost you. It's all a crackle.
I can still hear me.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Yep.
Yep, you're back.
Okay, cool. The joys of doing stuff live, right?
I know, right? You tried.
Man, I can't wait till we're on the golf course doing it with a video for just with that camera like this,
cool
recording it like this on the golf course.
Yeah, I know. How cool is it going to be? I'll bring my tripod. I've got my camera, and we'll just.
Brilliant. Yeah, guys, watch out for that. 2016 on the golf course with Matt and Ash. Anyway, right. So what I'm going to get you to do, if you can, is just can you give away like 3 of your best tips for guys to go away with, and just start, if they're not ready right now to maybe have a coach or bring someone else into their life, what 3 things can a dad do if he's overwhelmed, if he's struggling, if he's out of shape in the 4 areas that you've just mentioned earlier? What 3 things can he do after watching this to move forwards?
Am I allowed to swear?
Mate, go for it.
Great. I'm not a massive swearer, but I sometimes use swear words just to emphasize something. So you very rarely do you hear me swear, but the real occasion that you do, you know, it's a really important reason why. So the first thing to do is to give a shit about yourself. That's the most important thing, you know, because we get into this mindset of we've got to look after everyone else first. We're, you know, being the man, being the dad, the husband, whatever, you know, we're the provider, and we do everything for everyone else, and we provide for everyone else, and we care and look after everyone else, but we neglect ourselves. So the first thing, and just give a shit about yourself. You know, just take 10 minutes a day and do something that you enjoy. Whether it's hitting a punch bag, whether it's going for a brisk walk, whether it's playing a game on your phone, whether it's, you know, if you've got a bit, just whatever, just give a shit about yourself. Because here's a really cool thing, and sometimes this takes a while for someone to appreciate, is we all want to be selfless. You know, that's for most, especially for us dads, we want to be selfless. We want to give everything to our family, right? But to do that, we have to be selfish first. You have to be selfish to become selfless. Because if you're not looking after yourself, you're not being selfless very well. You're not doing it at the best level you could do. So you just have to. Now, some guys again go, "Oh, that's all airy fairy," you know. So that's why I say, just give a shit about yourself. Doesn't matter, you know. It doesn't matter what you do. Just start giving a shit about yourself. Try not to give yourself a hard time. So that's one. Another one is actually just getting up in the morning. And again, some guys say this sounds a bit airy fairy, but it's just getting up in the morning and writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. So what am I grateful for today? Well, I'm grateful that I've woken up, for a start. I'm grateful that I've not lost my wife or my partner yet. And I'm grateful I've got kids. They're great kids. It could be anything. I'm grateful for my cup of coffee this morning. I'm grateful that I've had 10 minutes to go for a poo on my own. You know, being a dad where they just come in, right? You know, you can't lock the door. It's like, woo, hello, daddy. I'm having a poo, bugger off. Yeah, you know, it's just something like that. A bit random, but, you know. So it's just, yeah, becoming a little bit mindful, being in a different way, again, possibly a non-airy fairy way, is just being attentive to your life. So giving your life attention. And the final one kind of goes, these are all similar, by the way, but the final one is just stopping and stop doing. You know, we're all so busy. It's all do, go, all day long. We're so busy doing, we just don't stop very often and just step back. and overview things. I put it in different. I say it's a bit like going up in a helicopter 30,000 feet and looking down at your life and seeing what's going on. Because while you're in it and it's all go, 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 do, you can't see what's going on. You're so in the thick of just surviving, you can't actually go, crap, I didn't know that, I didn't see that. Oh my God, you know, and it's not until you go up in that helicopter and you look down and you overview it and you think, wow, well, actually, I'm not going in the direction that I wanted to. I'm not happy with this part of my life. I'm not happy with that part of my life. That part's great. But you can only do that when you stop and you overview it. So there's 3, you know, quite quick and simple tips, really.
And they're awesome tips, by the way. So if anybody's watching this thinking, oh, I was expecting a workout to do, or actual physical steps or diet or whatever, listen, I speak from experience when I say that those 3 things have absolutely changed my life in the last 12 months. There'll be people here that have read my story and what's gone on, and people that haven't. But I swear to God, those 3 things changed my life, right? That first one, give a shit about yourself. Being a business owner and personal trainer, I thought it was all about just delivering and giving and giving and giving and giving, which, okay, yeah, it is a big part of it. But there's only so much you can give when you're not the best version of yourself. So by, like Ash just said, give a shit about yourself. So powerful. Just, and it kind of ties in with number 3, is just stopping and looking what's not serving you, what is, do more of what is and less of what isn't, and it's fantastic. But number 2 as well is that start your day with gratitude. What I also do, by the way, is I do it at night as well now. Yeah, like when somebody first said this to me, is gratitude, I'm like, nah, it's not important, it's not going to have any positive impact, it's just going to take time, why would I bother doing it? But once you lie down in bed at night and go, hang on a minute, let's just list the things that I'm grateful for, just in your head, you don't even have to write them down. You start going, actually, you know what? I've actually got quite a lot more than what I thought I had. Yeah.
This is, I've just grabbed it in my office. This is one of the books that I dish out to a client. It's literally, it's blank. It's not even line, because I hate, like, you know, I hate trying to write in the lines. It's like, you know what? Just have a blank book. You scribble on it, doodle on it, destroy, whatever. But I give them then, this is a rough copy, but I give them this. And again, one of the first tasks that we do, this is even before you what do you want and why do you want it? This is one of the very first things when I start working with someone is they get this, and there's basically 5 questions, 3 in the morning, 2 in the evening. And the 3 in the morning are, I am grateful for, 3 answers. Next question, what would make today great? Now, I'm not a massive fan of the word awesome, because I just want to say it in a stupid American accent. Not that I'm saying Americans are stupid, but I just want to try and do a silly American accent. So what would make today great? Again, 3 things. Now, they're normally what you'd have to achieve to make today great. Now, the third one evolves with practice. So like a daily affirmation. So today I am X, Y, Z. One of my clients came up with something great recently, and I've nabbed it from them because I said it was great. And they say, you know, and their daily affirmation is now, my choice, my decision, my life. And that's their day every morning. My choice, my decision, my life. And now they'll write that down every morning, and they'll say it to themselves in the mirror, which there are probably some guys going, oh, airy fairy stuff again. But actually, do you know what? That has changed their mindset. Just like that.
And it's great, because I think the Western world now is, here's the words that you've almost trademarked for your thing, is the world's waking up to it. The Western world are waking up to this airy fairy stuff, right? So I think even 12 months ago, people like meditation, I haven't got time for that.
Oh, crap, that is, yeah.
Yeah, but now I think a lot more people have been aware that it's so powerful.
Yeah, I just don't actually even call it meditation. I just call it a breathing exercise. Because there's still this, I don't want to do meditation, where actually, do you know what? A lot of it is just a breathing exercise anyway. And again, it's something you do. I was going to point that out in a second. So they're like the morning ones. The evening ones, again, just before you go to bed, or, you know, reflect in the evening, are what great things happened today, 1, 2, and 3. And then how could I have made today better or more awesome? And again, that can take, you know, that can take 2 or 3 minutes in the morning, 2 or 3 minutes in the evening. But that is one of the first things I get anyone that works with me to do, is we'll talk through that. Coincidentally, the second thing, they get that as the first thing. The second thing is, what I call take 10 daily, which is again just taking 10 minutes a day to give a shit about yourself. So they are the first two things I get all new clients to do with me.
Fantastic.
That's what they do for the first week.
Mm.
Just the first week is every day do that, and within the end, by the end of the first week, they've made most of the time they'll have taken a massive step forwards, because all they're doing suddenly is they're now starting to give a shit about themselves. And when you start giving a shit about yourself, you want to get better.
Everything else, it's like dominoes, isn't it? Everything else, a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
You put yourself first, and then everything falls into place afterwards.
It's that little step, because I mean, let's face it. If someone gives you, how long does it take just to spend a couple of minutes doing that in the morning and giving yourself 10 minutes, which might just be a brisk walk? If you have got to a point where enough is enough, it's no longer okay to not be okay. Well, what's 10, 15 minutes a day? But you have to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's, I won't work with anyone unless they're at that point. Purely because their time will be wasted. It will, I don't want to take someone's money and their time if they're not ready to do the work. So I'll have a conversation with someone before we start coaching together, and and I'll be honest with them and say, look, you're not there yet. I'll give them something to do. I'll say, right, look, try X, Y, Z first, and then maybe we'll talk in a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you might be ready to take that step. But I just hate it when someone's just there to try and take your money and then run. I've had that done to me before. It's not a nice experience. I'd rather be honest with someone and say, look, you're not ready yet. I don't want to take your money because you're not going to get the result you desire from it. I think that's more powerful than just taking someone's money and running.
Oh yeah, completely. And the analogy I use with people, if they get on a coaching call with me and they say they think they're in this big massive struggle, when really actually they're not, they need just a few slight tweaks and they can move forwards, and then they're cool again. What I say is imagine if you've got your tires on a car, right? And you go in for your MOT, and there's supposed to be a certain depth before they're illegal and you have to change them. I'll say, listen, you've still got half the depth left before you have to change it. You could still go and drive on these tires. Okay, we could change your tires now, but in the same amount of time, you're going to have to change. So you may as well just keep going, doing what you're doing, and maybe change a few things, like either slow down or take corners easier and don't spin you, things like that. That's the analogy I use with people. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, definitely.
Yeah, no, it all starts with the conversation. I mean, before anyone starts coaching, I'll spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with them coaching through whatever. And again, I've had some people where I've done that, and that's all they needed. And then they were away. I spoke to someone recently. I gave someone an hour of my time. They reached out and asked for help. So I said, fine, great. And we talked through everything, and I coached through with them, utilizing again this neuroscience method of doing it, because it just gets the brain working the right way. And at the end, it's like, wow, this is great. I know what to do now. How much do I owe you? What do you mean, how much do I owe? Well, how much do I owe you? You don't owe me anything. Oh, wow, thanks. And they're on they're on their way. And I've spoken to them a couple of times, and they're doing really well. Eventually, they might be ready to work with me or want to work with me. But if they've got what they need from me that time, what a great way to spend an hour.
Oh yeah, completely. I had that the other night actually with a guy. If people go onto my Facebook, they'll see that he's left me a very nice message. The fact that we had a conversation the other night, and that's all it was, just a coaching conversation. I mean, he said that he wants to work with me in the future, but it was just at the time just wasn't right. So I think, yeah, again, I'm completely with you with that one. And that ties in now to my last question perfectly, right? If somebody wants a coaching call with you, or if they want to know more about what you do, or the thing that you're doing at the moment, okay, with these amazing dads that are transforming their lives, Awaken the Hero Dad, where can people find out about you? What are the links to you?
Well, we've got there is the Facebook page, which is just Ashley Bishop at the moment. I'll drop you a link for that one. There's also there's a private Facebook group. I know you're in there, Brotherhood of the Fatherhood. Well, a bit of a corny name, but again, it works really well. It's a nice little group. People are contributing. It's getting to a point where people are now putting their hand up, maybe asking for help, sharing some positive stories. It's not a place, I've been very specific to make sure it's not a place where it's all down and out and people whinging and moaning. It's a place for power, to have powerful conversations, to move forwards. So I'm all, I'm in there, I'm giving tips, I'm giving advice, I'm giving support on how to take that next step. So that's that. If you want to have a coaching session with me, I do offer people free, I call them clarity coaching sessions. You can call them what you like, I don't care. If you go on to Ashley Bishop on Facebook, you'll see the logo, Awaken the Hero Dad. There's a way of clicking on, you can say book now. There's a short application form to fill out, because look, here's the biggest thing. And here's another, bonus, a little bonus sort of gold nugget here, is the most precious, valuable asset you will ever possess is your time. You can never buy more of it. When it's gone, it's gone. When you spent it, that's it. So my time is very valuable. So that's why there is an application form. It does ask you some questions. I do ask you to be honest and real, which sometimes might be tough to write, but if you're not willing to put that information down, why should I give you some of my valuable time? And that's not me being a bit of an arse here. It's like, do you know what? I'm more than happy to help anyone. I will. People have helped me, people from all around the world. I've had Skype calls with guys in America and other places offering me their support. Guys that charge stupid money that have just said, actually, here's some of my time. So I'm willing to do exactly the same, but you know what? You've got to be worth it for me. So that's why I have the short application form. It's not because I'm being snobby or snooty. It's just because I know and I appreciate that time is my most valuable asset. I'm not going to just throw it around easily. So there.
Yeah, it's a great point. But what you've done there is you give people permit by saying I value my time. Yeah. You give people permission to value their time as well, I think. So I don't think it's a snobby, snooty, arrogant thing at all. I think it's, listen, this is what I value. I value myself is time. Yeah. If you value your time and your results, then yeah, fill the application form out and have a conversation with you. Yeah. And talking about valuing time, I can't say how much I value and appreciate the last 60 minutes that you've given to me.
In the post.
You don't know my address.
I'll stalk you on Facebook. I'll find it.
I won't be easy to find. I do enough videos of me around the streets of where I live. So, but no, genuinely, I do genuinely appreciate your time, Ash. I've taken so much value from this. I'm sure some guys have. They know where they can find you now. Yes. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's watched this.
Yes, thank you. Again, I appreciate your time for listening to me. I know I can ramble on occasionally, but there's always theory behind my rambling.
Yeah, I can definitely tell that, and we've experienced it today. So to everybody, thank you again for taking the time to watch this, listen to us, and yeah, go and check Ashley out, follow him, join his Facebook group, fill out an application form to talk to him. Your time will not be wasted if you talk to him. This guy has the potential to change your life. If you want your life to be changed, you've got to do some work first. So thank you, everybody. Ash, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Just hang around there because we'll still be able to talk. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Right.